wanna do is say,
here's a little light of mine that I would never dare to find if you and I didn't collide.
all I wanna do is say,
You've taken me by surprise. You brought me back to life. You didn't even have to try.
all I wanna do is say,
Yeah, I'm flying away to the birds in LA and I won't be back. But I promise to you that the miles in between us will never change. The nights we stayed up and felt our pain turn into love a million days. Wouldn't be enough, so I can't stay.
all I wanna do is say, all I wanna do is say, all I wanna do is say,
Every time I say goodbye, missing you is hard to hide. But baby, it's worth the price.
all I wanna do is say,
With confidence in your eyes, you've taken off my disguise. I'll never leave that
all I
behind.
wanna do is say,
Yeah, I'm flying away to the birds in LA and it hurts so bad. But I promise to you that the miles in between us will never change. The nights we stayed up and felt our pain turn into love a million days. Wouldn't be enough, so I can't stay.
all I wanna do is say, all I wanna do is say,
I wish that I could stay. Stop counting down the days. How bittersweet to say. I wish that I could stay.
all I wanna do is say,
All I wanna do is stay. But nothing will ever change. The nights we stayed up and felt our pain turn into love a million days. Wouldn't be enough, so I can't stay.
all I wanna do is say, all I wanna do is say, all I wanna do is say.
I can't be alone here. I can't be the only one who feels like I'm going nowhere. Just wishing somehow this dream will carry me. And I'll swear just one last time. They say the world is yours, so I'ma make it mine. 'Cause nothing is stopping you. You could set the world on fire. Nothing is stopping you. And if I go out, I'll go out screaming. It's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. It's all or Cause nothing is stopping you. You could set the world on fire. Nothing is stopping you. And if I go out, I'll go out screaming. And if I go out, I'll go out screaming. It's here right now, and you've been waiting for so long. Forget fear and just run. Your past won't catch you now. I've waited many days for talking out to get care of my girl, you know somehow. And it's all worked out now that you are here. And I'm so proud to tell her what my tears. So tired of waiting. So tired of waiting.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Revival League Season 2 Champions League Round 5. My name is Retro, and I'm joined here once again by Mr. Tardis. Tardis, how are you? Are you excited for this game?
Hey, Retro, I'm glad to be here. I am excited for this game. I think I'm excited for games of Siege in general. It's fun watching a game of Siege, especially like a pro league style game, right? Like not like a ranked game, but like the format that it has. Yeah, like a competitive format. Yeah, it's interesting to see how people play. There's definitely a different way people approach it when it's a competitive game, right? There's just different kinds of strats. So it's always interesting to see like a team like actually try and coordinate, set up, and execute. Either like get the plant down or just win the gunfight. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. Obviously, this is like as default as it gets. Clubhouse. I think like every team should know how to play Clubhouse. It's one of those. I think Clubhouse in Oregon, like I think without rare exceptions, like the mark of a good team or at least a competent team is like, can you play Clubhouse? Can you play Oregon? Can you win on those maps, right? So as long as your club in Oregon is good, I think that means you at least understand the fundamentals of Siege. We're seeing the bans come out. I'm not surprised to see the Thatcher ban, obviously on Clubhouse, or the Azami ban. Nook being eliminated is actually kind of good. Like I feel like Nook has some great value, especially lurking on the middle floor by the bar, the pool table, getting that early lurk in really helps the attackers with the foothold, and just taking her out of there I think is a good idea. And the last ban we're going to see come in Kaid. Kaid, I think Clubhouse is one of the few maps where Kaid still gets banned out. Those hatches for the basement take. Yeah. If you have those two Electro Claws, and with the Thatcher ban too, right? Those things aren't going to get opened, right? And now with the changes to Maverick, ever since he lost his nades, it's not as compelling a reason to bring out the Maverick anymore to get past those hatches. So it's a sensible ban, getting rid of the Kaid. So I think we're going to first start out on Gym Bedroom, which is another one of those classic maps. I think an interesting bit to point out is the fact that, I think CCTV used to be like the high preference map, but now I think that's fallen out of favor, and now we see a lot more teams opting into the Gym Bedroom. I think this has become more of a primary site compared to CC, but at least I think you see teams flip and flop between the two. Pretty stock standard lineup coming out of both sides. The Bandit Rumai combination, a Warden, because a lot of smoke plants tend to go down on Clubhouse. So bringing the obviously Warden, I think in general has become a pretty default, or like you expect the Warden to be there more often than not now, as we start into our first round here on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right about Warden being a sort of a staple of Siege at this point, especially with a very high presence of Ying. And of course, she is banned quite a lot, especially on certain maps, more than some others. But she still has such a high presence that you on defense you don't have the option of defender repick to switch onto the Warden once you see that there's a Ying, but it doesn't even look like that's going to be an issue because Gunter is already in with an opening frag onto Ultra from below with a vertical grenade. He did one to down him, and then the second one to finish him off. Zed pushing into Cash to retake that position, taking down P1, who was just looking at the wrong direction in that exact moment. So an instant trade, but that is still such a very high-value operator for Lumina to lose so very early on. I mean, it's the Wamai. Yeah, he deployed some magnets still during the prep phase, but, his utility regenerates throughout the round, and, well, I don't know, Voltage are going to have to regenerate themselves through the round, as that was Zet with another one on the Joke. That is one of the hard reachers. Gunter now swinging in. Wow, what a beautiful shot. Maggie on the other side goes for a jump up, finds Mac. A couple more peeks coming out. I do believe that was Zemper. No, it was Zemper. Didaka finally takes him down as that wall gets opened up as well. And now it's a 2 versus 2. We're halfway through the round. What is going on?
It's interesting to see that a lot of this gunfight has been on the Cash, around Cash, when the site is actually Gym Bedroom. right? It's just always interesting to see when teams suddenly decide like they're not going to yield certain parts of the map, and this is an interesting example of that. The Bandit is trying to swing onto the Yana. This could end up becoming a 1v1 situation if the Bandit wins the gunfight, chucks the C4 out, pops it, but just not in time, misses the C4 lob, but Gunter able to push in on the Yana with the G36C, gets that final kill, and cleans up the round. Well, the first attack, I suppose, for Voltage Gaming.
Yeah, that was a very, very chaotic round. Not much of the time had been wasted by the time that most of the people in the lobby were already down for the count. That opening pick was very, very, very big, but then immediately being traded out, Zed taking up that space inside of Cash Room, and then taking up some kills for himself was definitely very, very good. It looked like Lumina had everything they needed to retake that original disadvantage that they were in, and they were able to recover from that. They were going to be able to win that round, and especially with that diffuser being cold on the ground. But with so many of those kills just coming in right after one another, and Voltage Gaming being very, very good at getting those trades, it just eliminated any sort of opportunity for Lumina. Voltage take the round, and now Lumina, deciding that they're not going to really test their fate back up on the top floor, are deciding to go back down to the basement, or down to the basement for the first time, which should definitely be interesting, especially considering that they've got 2 C4s and a lot of information. I mean, they've got those observation blockers, they've got cameras in the back, they've also got those drones from the Muzzy, potentially, and they have the Vigil for their own as well. I mean, this could be a very, very interesting setup here coming up from Lumina.
Yeah, they've invested heavy, I think, into the, like, it seems like a variant of the SSG roam, right? Like the Nuke Mozzie meta when that was prevalent. Interesting pick to see a Fuse. I'm always happy to see a Fuse come in. Back when I started playing Siege, I think Fuse was like the first character I mained, because he was like this big chunky 3-speed, and I didn't know what was going on. So I was just like, he has the most health, that's what I'm going to use. Using this cluster charge on the window is actually, I think, a pretty good like play. It might like disrupt any of the Valk camps. We saw the Valkyrie put it down, so I'm interested to see if it took it out. Obviously, I think as a rule, players have points turned off, so there's a good chance they didn't even know the Valk camp was. Oh no! Did they bring out the Claymore instead of the Heartbeat charge? There's plenty to go around, thankfully. So I'm not too worried here for Voltage Gaming. But this is actually pretty good. They've done the initial clear. The Monty's in, taking a lot of damage from the Fuse. I think Voltage is trying to just set up and go for the execute here.
Oh yeah, they tried to go for the execute, but Maggie's there. He finds one from up top. Mac and Gunter both find a couple for themselves. Pushing through the dirt tunnel will be the Yana, and will get shut down. Zed is there waiting and finds his own. 2 versus 2 yet again, and we're only halfway through the round again. I mean, this is just such a mess of a game this entire time. The Fuse upstairs getting spotted by those aforementioned Valk cams. There goes a C4. Will not catch anybody. Zemper already wasted his, so he will not be having any sort of luck with that. The 2 attackers disjointed at the moment, and that diffuser lost inside of sight will make this a lot harder for them to achieve. Matt can just barely see a pixel there of the Muzzy, but I don't think he's in a position to actually kill him, or that actually might have been the Valk of Zemper. P1 in the meantime at the bottom of the main stairs, just holding that flank, holding that cross angle, trying to hold on to something. There goes the swing, and there goes the kill. P1 sees the last one, and he finds Zemper as well. Voltage Gaming take the second round after, again, it seemed like Lumina were in the driver's seat. It seemed like Lumina had everything they needed, but the angles that they were holding just weren't enough, and Voltage took advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of this is coming down to the fact that Lumina is like not necessarily setting up their late round crossfires very well. I think they're doing pretty okay in the mid round. Interesting to see there. The Monty pushing in through dirt, but then he got immediately pushed out of dirt because of the smoke canister that had been popped, causing the Monty to push into the Fuse's cluster charge. I think they were planning on using the cluster charges to prevent the rotation from main stairs, like from the Shaiko spot, not the Shaiko spot, but like the Astra spot, basically, right, that you see on the armory wall. I forgot exactly what that's called. But anyways, I think that was the plan there. it's a good idea on paper. I just think in execution, you can see kind of like the downsides of it here. Ooh, that's oddly satisfying. Yeah. Let's slow down. Okay, perfect. Awesome. I'm glad we caught that. But just saying, yeah, like just seeing the fuse charges just doing so much damage to the Monty. I think towards the end it was the cluster charges that were actually hurting the Monty. But yeah, good attempt. I'm glad they brought it back by winning their individual gunfights on P1 over there, who was playing the IQ. So good to see that. Good adaptations coming out in the late round. We're going for a gym bedroom defense again. This time playing into the Mira. I'm glad they're doing that. I'm glad they brought out the Mira this time around. I think Mira, for gym bedroom especially, she's such a great operator. It's such, like, you get so much value out of that. Initial confrontation coming out on the cast side again. The last time we saw this site being played out, you saw most of the gunfire was around cash. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. With almost the first minute of the round coming to an end, and both teams trying for the gunfight here.
Yeah, the round has already well and swiftly begun, and a lot of these engagements coming out yet again. Ultra, very, very aggressive. We saw him be aggressive in the previous defense of this bomb site before. He unfortunately got taken down by a grenade from below, and now he's just being aggressive, trying to contest onto these angles, but unfortunately there's too many for him to watch. He gets taken down. Zemper immediately there, however, with a trade onto Joke. That will be the hard reacher gone now. Zet is also down but not out. I'm not sure where that is. The Daka will find Zet, however. Maggie is there with a trade yet again. Both of these teams are very, very good at fighting back and not allowing any long-lasting damage to stick onto their team. They're just holding on for their dear lives, and they're getting those trades very, very quickly. Another jump out, either teased or attempted there, I believe, by Maggie, who drops away through the hatch and returns back to site safely. As we reach the final minute of the round, Zemper will find Matt Mac, bringing the men advantage back to Lumina Gaming, but this is a position that we saw Voltage in before twice, and they were able to pull it back again from the reins when it really didn't look like it was going to be their round. So don't count them out yet is all I'm saying. Frag grenade from below, trying to attack that Mira, but unfortunately for them, the Mira has moved off. Solaris, a little bit wiser than that, pulls himself away to the concrete floor that cannot be naded from below, and is just sitting there waiting for somebody to drone or misdrone him, actually, and P1 could just be falling victim to this position being played. He has no idea that he's there. He doesn't even have an inkling. Maggie will take down Gunter, and there goes Solaris from behind that desk, misdroned, and beautifully waited out the attackers. Beautiful display of patience from a player in that position. Great job working off the sound cues and taking that final kill. Lumina Gaming finally put themselves on the board and show what they're made of.
Yeah, good final round. I mean, good. Finally coming on the board by Lumina. It's interesting to see how all three rounds so far have just been this crazy back and forth, right? You saw like halfway through the round, more or less half of the lobby is dead. And these gunfights, like, it's weird to see these kinds of trades come out. And I'm trying to put my finger on it. It's like, how are these teams playing this, causing them to trade out so well? But yeah, no, I think they're just kind of like playing off each other's contacts, or at least there are multiple engagements happening in different locations, so at least I think at any given point in time, there's at least 1v1s happening somewhere on the map, right? Maybe not necessarily in the same place, but there's definitely like gunfights happening all over the place. I like the aggression that Lumina is putting out for it. They're like, it's easy to lose the first two rounds of your defense and say, guys, let's play passive. But they've said, no, let's lean into this. Let's play the aggression. I say that, of course, and I'm obviously the counter to that is now they've brought the clash. But I think they've read into the fact that Voltage are going to try for another direct push. In fact, I think the lineup is pretty much the same. I think maybe the Dokkaebi is a different pick here, but essentially you can see they're planning to go for more or less the same strat. Yeah, I think they swapped out the Capitao for the Dokkaebi now. Yeah. But yeah, you can see that it's the same strat. They're going to place the Clash in dirt, and they're going to see the Monty coming, and it's going to tell them, like, guys, they're doing the same exact strat from last time, which is just a direct side take. And yeah, you can see this initial dirt pressure coming out. The Yana trying to nade the clash. This is going to be important. Well done. And it gets 2 over there. Oh man, this is dangerous for Lumina as they're just going to lose 2 of their opening picks are just like for free, basically.
Bomb located by
Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful nade. Gunter already had luck before with the grenades and has even more luck now. Zet, however, immediately with an answer onto Didaka, but he'll get shut down as well. It's all down to Ultra and Maggie now. The 2 would-be roamers now, Solace and Vigil, trying to make the best of this round still. The plant going down, or they're going to get off of it now, as Ultra will find one onto Mr. Mac, and now Ultra up top on the hatch, trying to contest from up there. There goes a grenade as well. Maggie, in the meantime, finds P1. And of course, as that's the Solace, you can see exactly where they planted and where they are at the moment. But Gunter finds Maggie, and Joke will find Ultra as well. The round will go to Voltage Gaming. And, you know, despite how good of an effort Lumina made to really try and win that round back, I think that that round was one and done right away with that initial frag grenade. I mean, that first frag grenade took out 2 of Lumina's players, and they just were not able to recover from that. Zet tried to put a bit of a, you know, dent into that attack, as did Ultra, as did Maggie, but there's just not much that you can do when you've lost 2 very, very crucial operators right away. I mean, the Clash is there to waste time and to stop that pressure. Her being gone in, what, not even 30 seconds gone? Really, really hurt them, and it shows.
Yeah, I think the plan was to have the Warden come assist the Clash, play into that aggression, like I had said before. I'm kind of curious to like what the thinking was in terms of like, were they not expecting the nade? Because the Clash saw the Yana, right? And immediately your first thought should be, I need to pull back and play closer to site because they're going to throw the nade. Like, you know that nade is coming. And obviously the timing was just awful, right?
Yeah.
Like, just unlucky. Losing both the Warden and the Clash, which is essentially, like, the play was around the Clash, right? They you could tell they knew the Monty was going to come in that way. And then just having the Clash just kind of sit there was their entire play. Just losing it was just, okay, now what, right? You had stragglers in terms of the Mozzie and the Vigil who were just roaming around, but I don't think they were playing together. They died at separate times. The Vigil not maybe playing off the hash initially, running down main stairs first kind of also was awkward. So yeah, a lot of like just like, you could tell Lumina just panicked when they lost the Clash and just never got the chance to fully recover from that. And again, you're seeing like this early gunfight, just like within the first minute, within, you know, arguably the first 40 to 30 seconds, the gunfights are going down. And Lumina are just not backing off this play style where they just want to get in front of Voltage Gaming's faces. And it is going to affect them like this, you know, sitting in these corners, like, they're going to hear you. Like, the Dokkaebi phone call is giving away. You're not as, protected as you think you are. And you have to expect that, yeah, like, Voltage, they've been doing this lone player quite well. And you should expect the fact that there's at least 2 people trying to close in on you at any given time.
Yeah, there goes the answer yet again. Zet is very, very good at finding that refrag, although a little bit, you know, late, but he still finds it nevertheless, equalizes the man count yet again. And something that I want to point out is that Voltage are very, very good at completely readapting themselves to a completely new attack. I mean, so far they've attacked this site 3 times. Every single time was a completely different strategy, and this time is no different, where they're bringing a Ying for the first time. They're going for that top floor clear. They're completely ignoring dirt this time, where Lumina even put a whole man out there, Maggie, to try and bandit trick that wall to try and keep that pressure. Meanwhile, Voltage aren't even putting any pressure on that to begin with. Meanwhile, they're just getting those hatches open. They're doing a lot of vertical pressure as well. And this attack is going to be a lot different than what we saw from them before. Now, into the final minute, the man count is even. Lumina are still having to try and hold on to this side, but Didaka will find Solra. Zet immediately with an answer this time, finds his second, but immediately shut down as Gunter pushes down those blue stairs. Zemper taking a lot of damage, and Zemper will actually take down Didaka. Gunter a little bit confused about where that kill actually came from, and Zemper just pinched in that position, couldn't do much. Now in a 1 versus 2 is Maggie. 1 player's trying to push from that main hallway. 1 player still inside of church. There goes this run, and he finds one. Can he find the second? No, he whips P1 will clean him up instead on 1 HP as well. Oh, that one has to sting. Voltage find another round, but oh my lord, that was so close. That was, inches away from hitting his head there. Oh, Maggie's gonna be kicking himself for that one.
Yeah, that was a. I noticed this like in like the just because the execute was coming in, right?
Mhm.
There were still two C4s on the board, right? Both Zampier and Magi, playing the Warden and the Bandit respectively, both had their C4s, and we never saw them like use their C4s, right? The one player that was contesting the hatch was the Mozzie, who had already used their C4. So it's strange to me that they didn't lean into the utility play. I think that could have cost them the round, to be honest with you here. I just think that was poor utility play coming out of Lumina Gaming, not using the C4s, at least not positioning your players, right, in the way that, is maximally efficient. But yeah, we're going to see them try to go for a gym bedroom. You can see a clear version to CC, which I think is valid. I think going to the CCTV site is not the best idea. I think attackers have such a good understanding of how they want to push that site. I don't think you should go to CCS. I'm happy that they're sticking to this gym bedroom. This is going to be a crucial round. A 4-2 split on the defensive clubhouse is okay. It's not the best position you can find yourself in. A 5-1 on the defensive split is like a little more extreme, and it's a little more dire. But we're going to see the opening pick come out in favor of Lumina, but that's immediately refragged on by Gunter on the Yana, who's having a great game, going to 11-3 on this entry. So yeah, you can see why Voltage are 4-1 up. It's just because they're winning these entry engagements, or at least trading them back out.
Yeah, I've said this before, they're very, very good at trading out those initial kills, or any kills that come out in that case. So far every single round, half the lobby was dead within the first 90 seconds, so very, very unusual to see that in Siege, and I guess this round will be no different, but Voltage still trying to put pressure up on this cash side. Ultra trying to contest that ace breach again, wasn't able to do it last time, can't do it this time, unfortunately. It's just a little too finicky, those impact grenades, but he pushes his way all the way into cash, and he finds a beautiful swing on the joke. That will be the ace down. He's taking so much damage, and he's now caught between a rock and a hard place inside of a very tight position inside of construction, but he goes for the swing, finds Mac through the wall and the window. 90 seconds to go. Didaka and Gunter both far away from each other. Ultra having way better luck so far than ever before, finds 3 in the round, leaving Gunter all on his own in a 1 versus 4. He's aware there's somebody lurking down below. He will find Maggie, but he's still got 3 more to go through. He has no utility left. A couple drones still in pocket, but such low HP. It's going to be all so difficult, and he sprints into Ultra's crosshairs. Ultra finds himself a 4K for the round, and Lumina save themselves the absolute heartbreak that would have been a 5-1 split or a 1-5 split as they go into their attacking half now on Clubhouse.
Yeah, I think there you saw the power of the mirror window, like, in full effect. They had the Lamai pinned in cash construction, but you could tell that they were very afraid to push him. Thermite was there trying to hold the cutoff, but, wasn't willing to swing because they were concerned about the mirror player position, right? I wonder if maybe they I think Ultra definitely played that very well. He definitely played the position very well, regaining that cash control, getting the kill onto the ace, then on the Hibana, and then I think finally onto the Yana at the end. I think that was very well played. So good stuff coming out of Lumina, from at least for their last defensive half. Now, of course, a Siege is a game of 2 halves. They're going to have to go onto the attack. This is going to be, I think, very telling of how Lumina as a team work. A defense, you don't really need a lot of coordination, right? Because, you don't have to do much, right? It's the attack having to take the initiative and having to kind of like do it all, as it were. So then moving on to the attack, where you have to plan and like actually coordinate with other members of your team, is always more difficult. So I'm curious to see how how Lumina Gaming do on their first attack. It's going to be a basement site, as always. This isn't surprising by any means. it seems like they're taking a hunkered down approach, playing that Fenrir, playing that Solus, playing the Melusi gadgets as well. So I think this is a very hunkered down defensive approach coming out of Voltage, which means Lumina don't need to really worry about a roam player right now. They can just kind of like drone out the map, just call the fact that, hey guys, they're not playing into roamers, and just start working on these hatches. As you can see, Zempier and Zet on the Hibana starting the work.
Yeah, but as you say that, we do see that a couple of those defenders have rotated around, and Joke will find luck with the Ashe. Immediately traded out. Wow, these teams are good at this. Zet will find one through the hatch, goes for the hatch drop as well, immediately shut down in the same time that Matt found Zet as well. This is such a crazy game going out. Oh, a C4 will find or will find Zemper. P1 finds Maggie as well. It's all down to Soul Rush. He did down Gunter, but of course he still has 2 more defenders to go through that are at full HP, and all of those Fenrir gadgets are still in play. And potentially could be causing even more trouble here for Solars as he's trying to push down onto the bomb site. He sees just pixels there of the Mira as Mac retreats back to site, but unfortunately he's not able to find anything. Gunter rotates around back into the dirt tunnel. And P1 on the... Oh no, that was actually P1 that went into the dirt tunnel. Gunter, in the meantime, went for a bit of a flank attempt and found himself dead because of it. Solars, of course, being the Buck, can do a lot of site reconstruction still, can do a lot of vertical pressure as well. Of course, considering how much time he has, I really don't know what else he could be doing. He doesn't have any flashbangs to clear out any of these other positions. He only has those secondary hard recharges, which he is using to his advantage. Of course, distracting them a little bit by opening up that moto hatch, but now with that timer dwindling away, and I don't think he's really even sure what to do next. He's running out of those skeleton key shots. He doesn't have any information in the way of drones, and as I said before, he still has the Fenrir gadgets to contest against. That diffuser is lost inside of sight. 20 seconds to go. He's scrambling with himself, not really sure what to do. There goes the hatch drop. They have the cross angle on him. With a Brone, he finds P1. And now it's all down to Mac, but Solars will find him. What a beautiful swing. One could say that Mac did not have to swing that, but he was in such a bad position there, right on the corner of the doorway. There really wasn't much that he could do. It was swing or be swung. And boy, did he got swung. Lumina find that round out of absolutely nowhere. And what a round that was. I mean, it was a beautiful example of the back and forth that we've seen displayed so far throughout this entire game. And I think that that's very telling about the future of this game and this entire matchup, how it's going to go. I mean, this is the what is it, 5th and 6th or 6th and 7th place team, something like that. And they are both scrambling to find those points to put themselves into contention for those playoff spots. And at this point, if you told me that either of these teams were going to win this in, any sort of close-out fashion, I would not believe you, because this is such a back and forth tug of war between these teams. I'm very, very excited for this game so much.
Yeah, that was an insane 2v1 clutch coming out of Soros. I think, to be fair, though, Voltage definitely kind of... That prone shot was insane. Like, you know, sometimes a player will just hit their shots and there's, like, nothing you can do for it. It's just like, okay, they hit their shot. I think Voltage played that well. I think maybe there was, like, a timing thing. But, yeah, that prone shot coming out of the Buck of Solros and, like, actually, like, getting that first kill onto the Fenrir was really important, and just swung that round away. So, yeah, unfortunate round coming up. It's a 4-3 split, so now Lumina has the opportunity. But they lose the opening pick, and it's the Hibana of all players too. That is the majority of their hard breach, and now they're like relegated to only the 2 hard breach can openers on the Buck. But we're seeing the Yana go down as well. So this seems like a bad start for Lumina Gaming on their attack, as they've lost both the Yana and her nades and the Hibana and all of her X-Kairos pellets. So they're going to have to fight their way if they want to win this round again.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a tall order, and this is exactly what I tried saying in the last round, but then got interrupted by all of the action, is that Voltage do make it seem like they're just going to be hunkering down, and then at the last second, they rotate themselves back upstairs. These same exact players, it was the Daka and P1 last time, and they found those opening kills before as well, and I just don't think that Lumina were really expecting them to be that aggressive on that roam presence. I mean, one person was just staring down through the floor onto the kitchen, and P1 was going for effectively a spawn peek, but they find him on the rotate. Maggie just narrowly avoiding there, getting swung by Gunter as well instead of Secret. P1 is there to boot as well. Ultra will find Gunter, however, equalize the man count yet again, but P1 is still out there lurking. Joke through the Fenrir smoke, finds one, finds two, all down to Ultra, and he'll get shut down as well. These rounds are over so quickly, I don't even know what to think anymore. But Voltage find themselves another round, put themselves just a step away now from map point and from a point in this map, and Lumina now trailing. I'm starting to worry about them a little bit. You know, they did have that initial disadvantage going into this half, and they haven't really been able to find any back-to-back rounds. Or actually, they did find two back-to-back rounds, my apologies, in rounds 6 and 7, but they're going to need to do a lot more than that if they want to win this out in regulation, potentially, or in overtime. They do not want to let Voltage run away with this one.
Yeah, obviously, so far they're 1-for-1 on their attack, right? But you have to ask, like, the attacking round that they did win was off the back of a clutch, right? And you shouldn't rely on clutches to win your rounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this round 9, as we head into it, is going to be an incredibly crucial round. Obviously, like you said, Retro, you set the stakes up quite well by pointing out the fact that, yeah, Voltage is about to go on to map point, get themselves an actual point for the tourney, right? So this is a very key round for Lumina. This is going to this could make or break the full map if they lose this second attack. Now there is a bit of good news for Lumina. So obviously basement has been locked out. If Lumina loses this round, which I hope they obviously don't want that. But if they do lose this round, then that means next up will be CCTV, right? And that round becomes that gives them the room. So if they win this next round as the wall gets breached open, it's going to be crucial to see if Lumina can actually pull this out and keep their chances relatively close and competitive in this series. Because for the most part, I think it has been Voltage in the driver's seat. But yeah, with Lumina getting the opening pick, I wonder how true that statement is. Interesting early cutoff by Ultra onto the cash player. They might just be able to kill this player that's sitting on top right, and they do beautiful nade. 2 opening picks in the favor of Voltage Gaming. I think Lumina's feeling pretty comfortable right now.
They definitely are, and I do want to point out the fact that was Ultra onto Gunter this time, before it was Gunter onto Ultra with the frag grenade from below that took him down, and now Ultra got his revenge after already getting his revenge in a couple of those rounds before as well. But a very, very good opener to this round, nevertheless, for Lumina. Not only did they kill 2 players, but one of them is Smoke, of course, who could deny a lot of their pressure and could really slow them down. Now, as they get rid of this mirror shield as well, P1 is forced to rotate away from there, not able to hold on to that position anymore. The pressure being put onto those main stairs from the window as well, cutting off most of these rotations throughout the bomb sites, and really putting Voltage into an uncomfortable position. Ultra just holding angles, waiting for anybody to swing him from the construction side. Drones coming out in waves. The hatch play is definitely there as well. There goes the drop from the hatch. Tadaka finds one, but immediately traded out. Ultra finds himself 2, and Zemper up the stairs will find the last one. Lumina do win this round out off the back of that initial pressure that they were able to pull off, and thankfully they were able to translate into an actual round win. So now you're just a step away from equalizing the scoreline yet again, and we could be looking at a potential overtime. I really would not put it past either of these teams. Voltage, however, going back into Gym Bedroom, and I think they're going to be a lot wiser about their approach this time, and they're going to be hopefully a little bit more prepared for that very, very aggressive push that Lumina did. I mean, Zet was pretty much just in, got that opening pick, and that opened the way for Ultra to get that second pick with the grenade, and then the round was pretty much over.
Yeah, this is an interesting math that I'm trying to work out right now. So Lumina are going to, Voltage is obviously going to repeat Gym Bedroom here. We haven't seen CC this whole game. I'm not surprised at all. But what's interesting now is Voltage actually have a good opportunity here. If they can figure out what their issue for Gym Bedroom the last round was, and in my opinion, the issue from the last round was the fact that they just held on to cash for too long, or at least weren't counting on the Yana having access to cash so easily. But if they can figure out this second Gym Bedroom, then they can go back to basement, if my math is correct on this. I'm pretty sure basement will have opened up after this round ends. So they can go back to basement, and then and they've won basement already, right? They're 1-for-1 on it, but I have a feeling that first round was just like, that first basement defense could have also been theirs, right? I think it was kind of stolen from them. So I'm feeling confident for Voltage's chances here to actually close it out in regulation. I think this might just be a 7-5, but obviously I'm speculating a lot. I'm just like saying, just making a guess, an uninformed guess for what it's worth. But it'll be interesting to see. They're taking very similar positions. You can see the Yana on the garage catwalk trying to push into cash. They've opened up a rotate. I think that was a panic use of the C4, but you know, whatever, you take what you get, right? And I'm going to interesting to see like how Voltage Gaming start peeling back, because yeah, this time I don't think they've held on to cash as much as they were the last time around.
Yeah, I think that you're definitely correct about that. And the opening pick does come out. It's P1 this time, finds Zemper. The opening pick going back in the way of Voltage, but Lumina right back there with the trade. So are Voltage, however. Or no, that was actually a 2-for for Lumina. My apologies. That was a 2-for for Lumina. So they take the man advantage back into their hands and once again leave Voltage in a pretty uncomfortable position here as they're still trying to hold on to their positions and try to hold on to whatever it is they are still trying to protect. All the while, drones are raining on top of them. There goes the Twitch drone as well. Will open up that mirror window again and force P1 out of his position. He swings in through the nade, and he finds the kill onto Ultra, but he's going to have a lot of work cut out for him right now. It's a big ring around the rosies, and P1 is the one to find the kill. Maggie, in the meantime, finds Mac. It's back down to a 2 versus 2. These teams love that 2v2, that is for sure. 50 seconds to go for Lumina to still make this push happen. Joke holding a pretty substantial cross angle with P1. That diffuser being on the ground is definitely not going to help Lumina any bit more. Saurus taking an initial engagement there against P1, unable to find that kill. Maggie still trying to find maybe something on any potential rotate, but Joke isn't giving anything away either. And now here could be the potential swing, but Maggie with a beautiful shot. P1 finds the quad. Oh my goodness, this is so stressful now. And Maggie walks into a frostmat. Oh, Joke post-mortem wins that round. Steals the ace from P1, but nevertheless the round goes Voltage's way. And if you thought that first round of the second half was stolen from Voltage, well, this one, if I may say so, was probably stolen from Lumina a little bit. I mean, you know what could have been if it would have been, but I think that would have been a really great show match there between Maggie and P1 if they'd gotten the chance. But Maggie, was just staring ahead too much. She was not looking down at the floor. Not enough utility was dispersed from the side of Lumina. Of course, they didn't really get a chance to clear those frost mats. At that point, you're in a 1 versus 1. You don't really have too much information. The comms are probably very hectic at that point, or you're just in complete silence. No one's really saying anything. You completely forgot about the frost being on the board in the first place, and it paid off for Voltage perfectly. Now going back down to basement, which, Tardis, you said they are 1-on-1 on, and now as they take that map point and take a point so far from this matchup, they really could be looking at 3 points from this map.
5 seconds.
Yeah, that was it could have gone either way there.
Locate a bomb and defuse it.
Excuse me, especially the way those last few minutes of that round. Again, P-Bon and the Jaeger just kind of like this was very similar, I think, to the way Ultra won that one round on their gym bedroom defense when Lumina was on the defensive half. It played out very similar with like P1 like pushing into cash, like reclaiming that territory and just kind of like, you know, full sprinting into the nade, right? I think that was a great play by him. Obviously denied the ace, but you know what? I think Voltage Gaming's like, okay, we got the point based off that Frostmat, we'll take it. The Pogmat came in clutch. I'm glad to see Lumina making adaptations. This time they recognize that, yes, they tend to have a word player about making sure that, you know, the Hibana just can't rush in, so they're droning it out, trying to like clear the place. Not a lot of aggression coming out of Voltage. They seem to be okay to play passively. I say that, however, and then Malusi just takes a ton of damage and actually does get down. Ultra can't see because of the Fenrir trap, but is not able to confirm the kill. So, you know, early advantage, no, but as I say that, Zemper just gets 2 kills out of nowhere, and Lumina right now is just massacring Voltage Gaming on this basement defense.
Yeah, that was definitely a go kill Zemper moment. All down to Matt Mac. He finds one, denies the flawless round, but before I could even say anything, Ultra's there to clean it all up. They keep themselves alive for just a little bit longer. They're staring down the face of potential overtime. This is still match point for Voltage, but Lumina could be taking away at least another point here away from Voltage as we head into the final round of regulation. And at this point, it's anybody's game. I mean, we're going back to basement. We're going back to that church arsenal bomb site, which we've seen 3 times so far. The first time that we've seen it, at least from this side, from Voltage, it was a clutch from Solverus that won it for Lumina. Then it was a pretty clear-cut, very aggressive defense coming out from Voltage, where it was, I believe it was P1 and the Daka who were just roaming with the Solus and the Fenrir, got the opening picks, and they just didn't let it slip away. That round was a go-kill moment from Zemper, and it worked out perfectly. I truly have no idea what to expect from this potentially final round of the map.
Yeah, that
10 seconds left before insertion.
it's really interesting to see the way this game has played out. Just like this constant back and forth with Voltage Gaming just maintaining like this. You think one team's gonna win one round and it's the other team, right? Like the last round, I thought Voltage had it, like they had it in the bag, but no, Lumina just come out with this incredible early engagement by Zemper, where he just gets these kills out of like seemingly nowhere. And then you're like, and so now I'm like, does Lumina win or is it Voltage? Like, at what level does the jinx stop, right? How deep do I need to dig here? But yeah, interesting. It's just like there's not much to say apart from the fact that a lot of these rounds are just coming down to player positioning and their ability to just get a multi-kill. Like I feel like if you're the team with the player who got the multi-kill, you're the team that's going to win the round, right? Yeah. Because the trades are coming in so swiftly. So it's like if you can get 2 for 1, you have the man advantage, and then you just kind of like ride that man advantage into the trade game and just win just by sheer gunfight alone. I don't think we've seen any planes go down so far, and that was like I think the closest we have come to seeing the plane go down, at least on Lumina's half, that is. I don't remember when Voltage was attacking, but if you had to press me, I'm pretty sure there was never a plant that has gone down. This is going to be interesting if the Visual can win this fight, but he can't as he takes his eye off the ball. I think that impact and then that shooting of the drone was a little too much noise. I think the Visual could have like played it a bit more stealthy, but the damage is done with half the round gone. Lumina are now prepping to get these hatches open and start working the site itself.
Yeah, they definitely are, and that was really unfortunate timing there from Gunter. He was inside of Strip Club for that entire round. He was waiting for maybe a cheeky jump out or something like that onto a potential attacker. Zemper was looking like he was going to push straight into him from that club side, or from that Strip Club side, but he just wasn't able to do that, or he just didn't do that. He baited him a little bit there, and then Gunter was caught between a rock and a hard place yet again, between a drone and two people staring down at him, there was not much he could do. But now, with the final minute to go, hatch is open. Lumina with the man advantage. Scratch that. The man count is even yet again as Mac will find Zet
Attacker
around.
diffuser.
Well, it's really not clear-cut for either of these teams. There's still so much utility for Lumina to clear out. But they still have quite a bit of time. There goes a beautiful swing from Maggie to find... Or that was... Wow, wait, what? That was Maggie inside of sight to find two. For a moment, I thought that was Mac that was able to find the IQ as he was running away, or the Ion as he was running away, but not much can be said for that. Ultra will find one, as will Zemper. Lumina win it yet again, and they take us to overtime. What was this round? I misspoke so many times because so much happened in quick succession, and I think that is very, very true to this entire game. You've talked about them being back and forth. I talked about them being back and forth. We've both mentioned how, you think one thing's going to happen, one team's going to win it. It's the complete opposite that happens. And at this point, I really don't know what to expect anymore. I'm just going to quit expecting anything because I feel like every time that I expect anything, the complete opposite happens and it's messing with my head. So I'll just tell it as is and leave the predictions and the expectations to, I don't know, psychics, because I don't even know what to think anymore. This is insane.
Yeah, I think, again, just Voltage Gaming just needs to figure out, like, they need to commit to an approach, right? I think that's been the issue there. I think they are doing a bit of both in the sense that they're playing into the turtle setup, but also having roamers. And I feel like if they picked one or the other and said, no, this is the strat, we're all going to sit on site, like the BDS scowl, right? Have the blue player, have the player watching Moto, right? Just like all of us sit on site, and this is how we win this. I feel like that would have worked out. Obviously, it didn't. We're in overtime now. I don't think this is where Voltage Gaming wanted to go. They were 4-2 on the split. And I think they had the opportunity to close it out, and it's just kind of escaped them. So obviously overtime brings with it its own set of challenges. These teams are very even, so I don't think one side is like, has a preference in terms of how they want to play this. Lumina have opted for a gym bedroom defense. We've only seen those two sides play out this entire time. I like this cheeky Goyo canister that they put on there. It denies that kind of like swift entrance if someone is trying to push in very quickly and just buys the cash players a bit of time. But so far, I feel like most of the rounds are like repeats of each other. It's like the same thing that's happening over and over again, where you just like see these scrappy gunfights. A flurry of trades will come in. You're in a 2v2 or 3v3, something like that, and then the round just decides whether it wants to go for Voltage or for Lumina. But with Ultra being down in cash, maybe this round might be Voltage's. We'll see.
Yeah, it really could be that, as Ultra is in a pretty irretrievable position. Zemper is there, but there's so much pressure being put onto him as well, both from the CCTV slab, from the window, from below. He's in such a bad position, but he manages to actually pull off the res. Both players get away from it scot-free. The grenade from below does not connect, but Solrus will connect onto P1. And despite that initial pressure, he finds the opening pick for his team instead. Zemper still contesting onto these players. I wonder where the player who was on that CCTV window is now the Thermite, or that was the Ace actually, is out there all by himself, and Zemper finds a beautiful swing, beautiful peek to get that kill. Mac is on that window, but I think it was just a bit of timing and mispositioning there that allowed Zemper to get away with that so much. Gunter might be trying to creep up those main stairs, try to apply some pressure from that side. Solrus holding on inside of the Ludgy, and he will find Mac. That Vector is just such a strong, hard-hitting weapon. Zet will find the Daka, and the Proxy gives him away on the main stairs. It's an insta-trade between themselves. Or actually, he finds Ultra there, but immediately traded out by Solrus in a prone position. Lumina Gaming take the first round of overtime, put themselves in overtime match point, and are looking to potentially take 2 points away here from Voltage Gaming, who had everything in their favor just a few rounds ago.
Yeah, and you can see Voltage Gaming opting to go into that gym bedroom defense. They were hovering on basement, but they very quickly changed it to gym bedroom, which I think is the sensible choice. I think they started out. I think they're 1 for 3 on that site. I think they're 1 for 3 on the basement defense. I'm very happy to see them say, okay, let's roll the dice with gym bedroom, where they're only 1-1. They lost it once, won it once. They're bringing the mirror again, which I don't know if you bank on the mirror this heavily, mostly because I think Lumina have countered that mirror, the one that is getting placed right now in construction, this mirror window right now that we're seeing getting placed down. They have consistently countered this mirror, right? And so I'm curious to see how, whether this mirror works out, whether this positioning works out, whether the round is won or lost simply on the basis of that one mirror position. But it's a very similar setup coming out, shield on top red, mirror windows watching into gym and bedroom. I think this round, like all the previous rounds, obviously is just going to come down to a gunfight. I would be incredibly surprised if this came down to the utility. It's just going to come down to the gunfights. And you can see Lumina kind of opting into that with the Amaru. I'm curious to see where exactly the Amaru is going to play in. Maybe a repel wall into the windows, but there are frost mats on all of them. So they should know that there is a frost in play, and I'm curious to see how Lumina Gaming is going to counter this frost.
Yeah, this is a Lumina classic where they open up that wall and they go in for the swing. There goes the first pick. Mac goes down. There goes Maggie with the shotgun on the Amaru. The plant is going down. An instant trade between Maggie and the Amaru. It's all down to P1, who's so far away from sight. Maggie with the early GGs as well. And, well, normally I'd say it's a bit toxic, but at this point, can you really blame him? P1 would have to pull off a miracle here with that diffuse timer dwindling down. He only really has about 15, 16 seconds to get to that diffuser, and, well, it's all over now. Solars will find that final kill. And as I said, it's a Lumina Gaming classic. This is something that they love to do, especially when they are in match point. The entire time that you were talking about how it's going to come down to a gunfight, I knew exactly what would come down. I knew exactly what would happen the second that I saw the switch onto the Amaru. They love to do this. Of course, I don't blame you. You, of course, haven't seen as much of this season as I have, but that's something that Lumina Gaming love to do, and it has a near 100% win rate for them because it's such an unexpected thing to do. I mean, there's the applied pressure from the CCTV side and construction side through those windows as well. The Amaru, of course, coming in through the main stairs window at the exact same time as the exothermic charge is blowing up on the jacuzzi wall, which of course covers up the sound of the Amaru Gara hook. He's just straight in there. The opening pick goes their way because no one's really expecting that kind of pressure coming down, and immediately just shut down completely. The one mistake there, you were talking about the frost there as well, how she was in play, how Lumina would have to counter that. And the one mistake that Voltage really made there was not expect a push main stair side, so they didn't actually place a frost mat down on that window, which of course, if they had, that entire round works out completely differently because they lose that main stairs pressure. They lose a lot of that quickness that they hit it with, and it might have turned out, in favor of Voltage, but with that pressure being enabled to them, it was just one and done for Lumina. And what a game that was, what a map that was. I really expected that to even go to full overtime.
Yeah, that could have gone to 15 rounds. But yeah, it was. I have to give props to Lumina Gaming for deciding on the penultimate round, right? That this is the time they're going to rush, and I think that's a brilliant idea. I think when the stakes are that high, obviously it's a high risk, high reward play. It could have gone either way, but just kind of like relying on saying, like, listen, we know, like you said, it's a classic, right? So it's their strat, and they have confidence in this team as a team to say, we know how this strat works, we understand it, let's commit to it. Right? And I think that is a hallmark of a good team that says, like, let's commit to the strat. And they did, and they won it, and so they won the map. Yeah, it was a great first map to come out of it. I guess now we decide who our MVP is. So yeah, let me ask you, Retro, who's your pick for MVP?
It's really, really tough because so many of those players played their absolute hearts out. And of course, you could pin it to any one of them, my pick would be probably between either Ultra or Zemper. They both had very explosive rounds that mattered so much. I mean, Zemper had that round all the way back when it was match point in round 11, where he just, I said it was a go kill Zemper moment where he entered sight, killed everybody. The round was over as soon as it began. But Ultra also did a really, really good job of swinging that back all the way back in the first half, where he retook that cash control and was there for his team, and of course got multiple multi-kill rounds later on, and of course by the game standards, of course he was also the MVP. So my choice is between one of the two of them, and I cannot make my heart up. So I'll need your help for that one, actually.
I think we can give it to Zempier. I think he definitely had those go kill rounds and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's a solid pick.
And also, something to really point out about this is that Lumina Gaming, of course, if you've been following around throughout Season 2 so far, they struggled a little bit in the first half of the season. They really weren't quick to those points. And, they were one of those teams that a lot of people were looking like, oh, are they even going to make it to the playoffs? What is this? They were the favorites last season. And all of a sudden now they aren't doing so well, but they've really picked up their pace. And Zemper, of course, the newcomer, he of course was in Oblivion XC just a little while ago, and now came in, did a fantastic job to really push this team to a really, really nice victory, and 2 points for them as well. So I think for that alone, Zemper's contribution really should be recognized with an MVP win. But with all of that said, and a little bit of more rambling than we're used to normally, we will be taking a very short break, and when we come back, it will be Oregon, and I hope that it will be as interesting as the Clubhouse game was. Stay tuned.
I stayed awake last night, 'cause I couldn't close my eyes and see you another night. I drove myself crazy thinking you'd take my wildest dreams and tear them all to the ground. So I tried to create a decoy world for you to destroy in my mind. You can stay and believe you're tearing me apart while I'm coming to life, while I'm coming to life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Revival League Season 2 Champions League Round 5. My name is Retro, and we are back with Voltage Gaming and Lumina Gaming. We just saw them on Clubhouse. It was a absolute banger of a match. If you missed it, do not forget to watch the VOD back after it's up, because wow, that was truly a map to watch. It was a lot of back and forth. There was so many trades coming up from either of these teams. They were both very, very good at pulling it back and pulling it front. Very, very, very good job from both teams. It did end up being an 8-6 win in overtime for Lumina, so they took 2 points out of that, but Voltage did not come out empty-handed. They also took 1 point, and now battling on Oregon. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how that goes and where that goes. At the same time as we are casting this game, there is another game going on over on twitch.tv/Vidical Esport. It's Vidical Esport, sorry. It is a Finnish broadcast, but nevertheless, it is a broadcast of Vidical Esports and Eternity. Eternity chasing still their first point in the season, and at the last I checked, it was an overtime game as well, and on Clubhouse too. So definitely go check out that one as well. It could be a banger. Eternity could be picking up their first points and could be putting a little bit more of a base for themselves in the season so far to not really be a complete target for the relegations come the end of the season. But with these bans coming out now here on Oregon, I don't know if TARDIS is back yet.
I'm here.
Let's go.
I don't want to get you away, man. I've been here this whole time.
I didn't know. We kind of started before you were back, so I didn't know. But what a game that was, huh?
Yeah, that was a good game. It's I find it interesting that we've gone from Clubhouse and now we're on Oregon, right? That's an interesting, like, it's like, oh, are we going to see the exact same thing happen again? Or are we going to get another OT game? Like, I'm actually very curious to know if we're going to go to overtime again, which I wouldn't be surprised if it did. I think the bans are all, well, with the exception of the Goyo, the first other 3 bans are exactly the same. Lumina banning out the Nook and the Kaid. Again, Kaid, you don't see a lot of Kaid on Oregon anymore. I feel like I haven't seen it much in T1, at least. Most of my knowledge is based in T1 itself. But definitely, I feel like Kaid has fallen out of favor. I think the meta has kind of left Kaid behind, so you don't see as much of a Kaid play. Obviously, it's still good to just get rid of those 2 Electro classes, especially now with the EMP names, right? Like those pocket EMPs that you get. Kaid's utility has kind of dropped off, so I'm curious to see that get banned out on Oregon, as opposed to something like the Azami or the Valkyrie. So curious, Kaid ban. Goyo ban, I feel like, from what I gather, seemed like it could have been a target ban. It's a comfort pick for a lot of players. I know that. So it's interesting. It's definitely an uncommon ban, but it's Oregon. It's such a default map that you can kind of you must have a strat that doesn't involve the Goyo, right? So that's probably true. Lumina is going to start out on the attack, but not get the opening pick, as that goes to the Fender of Joke, with Voltage Gaming getting that opening pick, and in the first 30 seconds of the round, no less.
Yeah, that was a very, very, very quick first pick coming out. Joke on the Zemper yet again. Tries to go for the trade Ultra, but he gets shut down ultimately as well there by Gunter, who's still holding down the 4th inside of Trophy behind that shield. Well, my magnets, plenty to go around to protect that shield, of course, now with those grenades gone, as well as the Ash Charges gone. There's really no way to clear that shield out, maybe with the Selma Charges, but of course, that's going to be a lot of work to actually do that, wasting a lot of utility too. Gunter taking a lot of damage through 2 walls, but stays alive still. Zet, in the meantime, finds Mac with that SC3000K. You don't really see that gun or that operator all that often, but it is a bit of a comfort pick, I will say, for Zet. He is very, very good on the 0. He's very good at using that utility, those cams. They can be used for both burning utilities, such as the ADSs or even the Womai magnets, but it's also, of course, very, very good for information gain. And now with that pressure being put more and more onto the bedroom, Lumina leave themselves a little bit vulnerable here to a potential flank. I don't know how much information they have. Zemper is currently on cam, so he could be finding something. Soros finds himself inside of sight and in a safe position to go for the plant, but there is no diffuser in his hands. And matter of fact, there's no diffuser in any of their hands. But oh my goodness, what a cleanup coming up from Soros and Maggie, taking down everybody who was inside. It's all down to Joke, the player that I was said they should be fearing a potential flank from. Soros mid-plant gets shut down. Maggie retrieves the diffuser, pushes back at the site, or back into the dorms bomb site, or the kids' bomb site, rather. Finds a safe position to go for the plant, and now Joke having to go for a bit of a retake here, but Maggie has that angle covered. The round will go to Lumina, and a round that really was not looking like it was going to go their way at all. They lost the opening picks. They could not get rid of those shields. They kept losing people. They dropped the diffuser, and then Maggie and Soros both collapsed onto the site, killed everybody, and the round just kept going their way more and more and more. You might say the Joke maybe missed the golden opportunity there to go for that flank and to hit them where they weren't expecting it, but of course, how was he to know that his entire team would just get completely slaughtered upstairs? He just wanted to wait for the, a more perfect moment, wanted to waste a little bit more time, wait for a moment where they were really uncomfortable, or maybe just wanted to give that kill to his team, and instead, maybe pushing a little bit earlier would have been the right call, but, woulda, coulda, shoulda in that moment. Nevertheless, Lumina win the round.
Yeah, it's so funny. I was looking at Joke when he was in classroom, and I looked at the HUD, and I saw that he still had a bulletproof cam. And I was like, they didn't put on a bulletproof cam on Defender. Like, there's no sight cam, basically. And I wonder, because you clearly saw Lumina yellow pinging Defender, or, they knew where he was. Like, there was a yellow ping, they must have had a drone at him, and I feel like Voltage had no idea what their internal site presence was, right? I don't think they had any intel in terms of who was on the attacking side, how far in they'd gotten in. They had attic and pit control, they had games control, and Maggie coming out on the Amaru, just swinging this aggression out of Lumina Gaming is just fantastic to see. And it's really punishing Voltage. I think it's catching them off guard on an off step, and it's just hurting them right now.
Yeah, more of that aggression coming out. Tower side as well, where they're bringing a Ying and pushing out anybody who dares step their foot inside of it. Mac was trying to hold that position down with, of course, the Kiva barriers, as we could see them deployed there, but they really could not help him much. Maggie will find another one to the Daka as well, and there for a moment you could see Zet putting down those zero cams. I said this, he's very, very good on the zero, and I really, really love Zero being brought because he's such a strong operator, very underappreciated. And, you were talking about that information, how Lumina had those yellow things, they had the information, and, well, this is why they have that zero, and it's working perfectly. Zet makes his way inside of the site, goes for the plant. Maggie with the TK onto Ultra, taking him down with the firebolt. Unfortunately, they just were not expecting it. Maggie will find another one. More of a TK, or what is happening? P1 now all alone, as Zet will find his teammate. P1 low HP. Oh, for a moment I thought that was the ace that got him with the pistol spinning around, but no, it's Zet from deep inside to find that final kill. Another round going to Lumina, and this aggression is something that we saw from them on Clubhouse. I mean, there were a few rounds where I called it the Zemper go kill, and, Ultra had a couple of those as well. Of course, that final round where they just decided to Amaru straight into the main stairs window, and, the so-called Lumina classic of just rushing the bomb site. And it looks like they definitely learned something from the way the Voltage play. And Voltage like to play it very close to the chest. They play their positions for their life. And as soon as Lumina figured that out, they were like, well, what if we just push them out of that position? What if we just rush them? What if we just collapse onto them and deny them anything? And it's working perfectly in their favor, and I hope that Voltage have an answer for it soon, because trailing any more rounds than 2 on Oregon, a very defender-sided Oregon, really could be a problem. But I say that, Clubhouse is equally as defender-sided, and it was a 4-2 split twice for the attack, and then a 2-0 for the attackers in the overtime. So it could just be another time where Oregon is just not that defender-sided after all.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to harp on it, but even in that last round, it was just there was another bulletproof that had been placed, and it's like, just put it down. Like, it's not gonna hurt you, right? There's no point in carrying it in pocket, right? Like, I get it, you're out of time, then just put it where you want. Just put it in your, where you're skating, and it'll give you some benefit. Worst case, it'll just steal, 1 second of the attacker's time? That's still a second wasted, right? But yeah, my rant aside, Lumina, at least across these first few opening rounds, it's early days. Obviously, they're having to now attack the basement, which is the bunker side. I feel like if you can win this attack on Oregon, if you can win your basement attack, you have a very good chance of just winning the map, because that site is so borderline impenetrable, right? It's a basement site with almost little turn of vertical play. You have some hatches that you can use, and we see the traditional meta thing is to just drop E-Box. Mac on the Azami gets the opening pick onto the Nomad, which is slightly problematic given that must have been their only flank watch. They're trying to kill this Oryx here, and if they don't play this well, Gunter will get the kill, and as he does, onto Ultra the Ash. So 2 opening picks gone in the favor of Lumina Gaming. You can see that they've decided to play this round at a much slower pace, and I think it's actually costing them, because it's allowing for Voltage Gaming to set up properly, or at least move into positions where they can have the upper advantage on the gunfight.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. And now with 2 of those players going down, they're really being put into a situation they don't want to be in that time. Dwindling away from them as well. Of course, they have these hatches open, but they still have those roamers to worry about, or they think they do, but Gunter has made his way all the way back to the main lobby, and he finds Solrus. I'm not sure if Solrus was even expecting him in that position. Zet will find him through the wall and then down the stairs. He gets shut down trying to open up that barricade. Ironically enough, he's the Oryx. He could have just ran straight through it. P1 is down but not out, but the Daka with the swing of that SAS shotgun, we saw it in play just the other day. It really is not something you want to go up against at a short distance, and now another smoke bait being deployed on the top of those stairs. Zemper is forced to move away. Of course, the diffuser has been dropped at the bottom of those stairs as well. There goes the drop through the freezer hatch, but there's just too many angles, and Voltage have covered every single one of them. Voltage learned a thing or two about how aggressive Lumina want to be, and they take advantage of that aggression. So Lumina might have learned a lesson or two about the way the Voltage play, but Voltage very, very quick to adapt to the very aggressive playstyle of Lumina, and they punish them for it. Beautiful, beautiful display of adaptation coming out from Voltage to put themselves on the board.
Yeah, like I said, it's the basement site. It's the one you're expected to win, especially if you're the defense. I think Lumina they had to take the basement side, and they decided to approach it more methodically, which definitely kind of cost them. I was very surprised to see the Ash push up into kitchen so aggressively when they kind of because they knew the Oryx was playing in that position, right? Because you knew Ultra was looking in the direction of the Oryx. They just didn't know where he was or where he was going to peek from, and then that definitely cost them that, losing that opening engagement. Obviously, the Azami of Mr. Matnak got the opening kill somewhere else, but still, tiny mistakes that definitely added up, and especially on a basement, if you lose your first few players, it's so hard to call out that round back, because it's one of those things that just you need to have all the utility in position. You just need to have the man advantage going into the side take. You can't. It's incredibly hard to win those types of rounds with a man disadvantage, and you see that now. Voltage Gaming get their first round off Oregon on the basement defense, which is typical. I think Lumina. If you're Lumina Gaming, would you call this a Lumina Classic Vector as it's coming in right now?
I wouldn't call this an anything classic. Ultra is inside of the bomb site immediately. Solar shutting down Gunter. That was the Thor, not really sure where to look at. Mr. Mac will shut down Maggie, and there goes the swing from the Daka, who really didn't know where to look at in that moment, but he gets shut down immediately from the window rappel. Solrus is there to shut another one down. Man count even at 3-3. Having to waste that Selma charge trying to open up the wall, but instead he whiffs it just a little bit, catches the windowsill instead. I mean, it's what, a minute into the round and half the lobby is already dead. This feels very familiar, does it not, TARDIS, to
Yeah.
the first half of the first game?
It does, and you can see the defenders now, or the attackers trying to basically gate up. Botch C4 does get a bunch of HP damage onto the Zero of Zed. They're trying to gain some awareness of like what the situation is. They're putting the point down, which I'm impressed by, or at least trying to bait it out. They have the cover that they need. There is no downstairs player, and there is no C4 denial as an option. With the 1v2 down now, with the Valk alive at the top of white, they could get this plant down and actually claw this round back.
Oh, wow. And there goes the grenade at the same exact time as Emperor goes for the swing. A beautiful, beautiful round there from Lumina. And another one that, wow, I didn't even see him. How did he get that kill? Wow. A nice one there from Zemper. But as I was saying, another round that I did not see Lumina winning, but instead a very, very unlucky, I don't know if that was a collateral or if it was just a very unlucky timing there, but two Voltage Gaming players stood up to try and gain a little bit more momentum there on the two final remaining attackers, and they both got shut down instantly by one of them got shut down by Zet, the other one got shut down by Zemper, and they just could not hold on to that round then when it was a 1 versus 2. And now taking a timeout. This is the first timeout that we're seeing so far in either of these two maps. And I really couldn't find a better time to do it if I was Voltage Gaming. You know, this is a point where you've lost 3 rounds, all 3 of them on the dorms bomb site, which really should be one of your strongest, if not the strongest, because the basement bomb site sometimes does tend to slip away from the defense. So, you know, and a lot of teams treat it as a sort of secondary bomb site. They don't really love it as much as that top floor bomb site. So the fact that they've lost it 3 times, and it wasn't really close. It really, you know, it should be worrisome, and it should be something that calls for a timeout, either from their IGL or their coach, recognizing, okay, something is going wrong. It's either the comms are cluttered, we don't really know what's going on, or, you know, we're just getting perfectly countered, we need to change up what we're doing, or it's as simple as, hey, guys, cool down. You don't really need to freak out. It's only a few rounds. There's still a whole other half for us to play out. There's still a whole other, you know, quarter of this half to play out. So really just don't really think about it too much. Just play it and win it. You know, you're better. That's the sort of, you know, the mentality that coaches tend to go into sometimes, you know, not really focusing too much on the mistakes that you're making, but just like, hey, get back into the game. You're good. You got this.
Yeah, again, Lumina, I think, yeah, that Amaru, and they've just held on to this aggression. They've decided, I think that's just their play style at this point. They're like, yeah, let's just play aggressive. We're seeing another Amaru pick come out of Solros. Well, no, they picked off it, but going on to the ace. I like that they're going for the plant. I like that they're attempting to get the plant down, or at least when their initial play is not the best, as you saw in that round. I think pleasantly surprised by Lumina Gaming's ability to kind of make those mid-round adaptations in their initial plan. Doesn't like necessarily win them the round outright. Again, a much more slower round coming out, no opening gunfight within the first 30 seconds, which I would have said is kind of typical for this. It's at least for the way that these two teams have been playing, at least, you know. So they're going to start out by taking this early tower pressure. We're coming up on bottom white. There is a player down in security. I think it is a Fender who still has his bulletproof. Put it down. Just place it. Put it. Anyways, that first nade comes out, does a massive amount of damage to Joke on the Fender. And they're going to have to keep mounting this pressure because they need the security position if they want to go for the Kids plant.
There's some vertical pressure there as well as the Daka makes some holes. P1 is there for the support as well. So there's a lot of manpower being put here onto this exact position that if Lumina read into that, they could just go for a backstab all the way onto the main side. But I think they've also dedicated too much manpower to this small tower CCTV freezer push to really afford that. There's a frag grenade trying to catch somebody maybe from below, but doesn't do anything. Joke manages to fall away from that position safely, and Voltage Gaming, although they lost a lot of damage and that cam hadn't been placed down, they wasted so much time, and P1 is there to get the first frag, but immediately traded out is there. Solars find another one to the Daka, who is really looking to get another swing onto Lumina, of course, from up top. I mentioned that he was there. And now, with a lot of that pressure gone, Lumina pretty much have free reign. And is Gunter walking in front of somebody here? I don't think he is, but Joke will find Solars nevertheless.
Located.
Immediately shut down. These teams so good at the back and forth. Really goes to show that both of these teams love to play together, and pushing up those wide stairs is Ultra. Gunter will be the second to last one to go down, and Mr. Mac now, no ammo on his primary, trying to do something with the Deagle, and 1 HP and a Dream. Not much that he could do there. Ultra was just there. G36, not something that you can really outrun or crouch spam. It is not built to miss. Lumina put themselves up 4 rounds to 1, and Voltage have got to win this next one if they want to really be in a position. As you spoke about this last game, or last map rather, where, you know, a 4-2 split on a defensive Oregon, okay, it's not that bad, could be worse. 5-1 split, I mean, that's just one, you know, spawn peak, run out type situation from Lumina that basically loses you the game, and you do not want to be in that position.
Yeah, you don't want to be in this position. I guess it had to have been locked out. That's why I'm interested to see maybe Voltage. I think at one point may have decided to go with the Tertiary. Obviously, sometimes, you know, you just decide to just run the dice with what you know instead of what you don't know, right? And the way Lumina has been playing in terms of like this open aggression format, yeah, I think just having like a bunker approach to this basement site might help. Obviously, we saw in the last round, or the last basement defense, that Voltage was actually trying to get around the place. Matt Mac was got the opening pick on the Azami, which is obviously reprised here. I'm pleasantly surprised to see the Fenrir pick be very common. I think he's a pretty good operator, though some would argue a little over-tuned at the moment. But obviously, we'll see how it goes over the course of the season. Many operators that exist in their current form today are radically different from like the way they were released. Like I think like a good example and in this game is Zero. Like when Zero launched, he had nades. Like, you remember Zero nades, Retro? Like, that was a thing. Like, he had those cans and he had 2 nades. So obviously, operators tend to change dramatically and radically over their course of their lifetime in Siege. But with that preamble out of the way, we're seeing another tower take come in from Lumina Gaming. I'm curious to see if they know that there's going to be this top freezer player. That's a position you should expect, especially if you're attacking onto basement. But that said, most of the roam game seems to be concentrated towards big tower, and Lumina Gaming doesn't seem to be super interested in pushing those players out right now. I think the priority is going to be like this freezer, maybe go for like a laundry plant, based on how the rest of this roam player goes. We're seeing additional pressure into security. So now they have security control with the hatch. Ultra is like maneuvering over it, making sure that he has what he needs in terms of site pressure. Not much apart from that happening. Some early engagements. P1 has been down on Big Tower. I don't know how exactly that happened. There might
It was a nade.
Yeah, it was a nade. Yeah, so I think they might try to go for the recovery. They do recover him, but he's on very low HP, as Lumina seems to be prepping for the side execution coming in now.
Yeah, they really do seem to be doing that, and I was going to say that before about how this is something that we saw from Voltage actually back on Clubhouse, where they were very, very good at doing a completely different approach to their attacking as soon as they were attacking it the second time around. And this is exactly what we saw from Lumina, where they completely forgot about that big tower, went for the small tower freezer main push instead, and it really seems to be working out in their favor as they have a lot of map control, and that site pressure is becoming ever so stronger for them. But these Kiva barriers still inside a freezer are definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. Kills coming out both sides. Ultra trying to swing onto the player in freezer. Meanwhile, Maggie shuts down the smoke, and it's all down to Gunter once again as Lumina just completely collapsed onto the bomb site. Plant going down, so many of those angles covered. He finds one, but immediately with the swing, Ultra finds Gunter, and the round goes Lumina's way yet again. They put themselves in a significant lead now, 5-1. They're staring down the barrel of a point, or the third point so far in this matchup, match point, and potentially a win so very early on. Taking a timeout, however, maybe they're feeling a little too hot, or maybe they haven't really thought about how they're going to approach their defenses. Maybe thinking about, okay, do we want to continue with this aggression? Do we want to continue being very annoying and a thorn in their side? Do we want to go for jump outs and spawn peeks? Do we want to risk that? Or are we going to pull it back here, slow it down, and force them to come to us? I do believe that that's the conversation that they're having right now in the voice chat of Lumina Gaming.
Yeah, this is a very interesting timeout for Lumina to take. It's a risky timeout, right? Because you're going onto the side swap. You don't know like what the next half of this game is going to look like, right? Lumina has a really sizable lead, so I'm guessing their strategy right now, if I had to guess, is like we're 5-1 up on Oregon defense. What are you going to do to lock it out, right? I'm guessing that's what, like you said, that's what their plan is. But on the flip side of that, if Voltage starts to run away with these rounds as we get into this new half, Lumina doesn't have a timeout anymore, right? So they're locked in now. So there are no more timeouts left because Voltage already used theirs, I think, back all the way in like round 4 or 5, right? Like that's when that timeout was born. So now there are no more timeouts left. So it really just comes down to Lumina as a team where they're like, okay, can we close this out in the state of the game that we have it? They've opted to go downstairs for their first defense, which I think is an interesting idea. What is really, really interesting is the use of lack of a shield. There are 6 barbed wires that I'm counting right now, and they're starting to place it down. So I'm curious to see how they're going to play the elbow position. I'm really curious to see if maybe this is kind of like a misclick, like they forgot about the fact that Smoke doesn't have a shield, though I highly doubt it. So it's just an interesting thought to have in terms of like, is there a reason we don't have a shield right now?
Yeah, that was a bit cheeky there from I think that was P1's drone there. Tucked in the corner, Zet could hear it, but when he swung out the door, he couldn't see it. So that little bit of information does stay intact for Voltage Gaming. Is definitely going to come in handy later on. But I definitely agree with you. I mean, there's been a lot of adaptations to Smoke losing his shield in the second season of Year 8. And, a lot of those adaptations have included bringing the Warden with the shield. The fact that they brought the Warden but picked onto the C4 instead is a little bit curious, but of course, with the Azami on the board, they could just be using the Azami as, makeshift shields. It's not quite a deployable shield. It's not as versatile, but it's still so good. And Gunter is even better as he goes for that swing. How many times have we spoken in the past few days about how you do not want to swing an SAS shotgun at close range? And, well, there's no such thing as fearful when you're Gunter and he swings it, gets that kill onto Ultra, takes down not only a very valuable player, but also a Smoke who is really the bread and butter of a basement side defense.
Yeah, losing the Smoke is like massive right now because that's all of your time denial just straight out of the window, right? Playing the aggressive Smoke is very high risk, very high reward. Those tight engagement corners favors the Smoke, but obviously you see in instances like these, like where the Smoke does actually lose the gunfight. And now Lumina are man down with no time denial left. They're going to have to face this laundry take with the man disadvantage. I don't know how they're going to have to juggle the big tower pressure as it's coming in, but this is going to be difficult for Lumina. They're going to have to play very intelligently, try and be a little more held together in terms of the crossfires, and make sure that they don't give any free pick, because 5v3 is like the last place that Lumina wants to be with the final minute of the game and the execution on the horizon.
Yeah, I was just about to mention Solrus and his Fenrir plays, and unfortunately a grenade explodes at just the wrong moment to take out one of his Fenrir gadgets. Meanwhile, Gunter will go down, so that's the man count equalized. Zemper retakes the advantage, but immediately shut down by Dodaka. Now, a 1 versus 3 Zet will take down Mac, and those Fenrir gadgets really coming in handy for Lumina. Of course, they lost the smoke, but they still have the Fenrir for that entry denial and for the time waste as well. Joke diffuser in hand, playing the Habana, but 13 seconds to go, 3 defenders to go through, and that Fenrir gadget is just something that he cannot contest. We saw him do it before, all the way back on Clubhouse. You remember that clutch where he dropped into the Fenrir gadget, got 2 kills on the back of it. This time, it was just too much on his plate, and he couldn't do it. Lumina win that round, take another point, and could potentially be taking 3 from this map. I mean, Voltage, they took their timeout, it did nothing. Lumina took their timeout, it did nothing to help Voltage. And now they're going to have to be flawless for the next 5 rounds in a row if they want to find, just a potential of winning this map out. And that's going to have to be in overtime. They've already lost a point here. They lost 2 in the previous map, and this really could be, signing stars go home for Voltage here if they do not significantly improve themselves.
Yeah, I'm not going to count them out, not yet anyway, but it looks bad for Voltage Gaming right now. Like, Lumina are just in control, right? They know, even despite having lost that smoke, granted, it was the basement defense, obviously it's the one side that you could win, having lost the smoke, but still, once Voltage got that opening pick, you saw that they really couldn't manage to do much past it. This opening peak goes in the way of Lumina. I think this is them trying to get a little bit of cheeky, right? They're on match point. This is where you go for those spawn peaks. Obviously, it hasn't worked out for them. It's going to be interesting to see if Voltage can convert this now into a round win, because this is exactly what happened in the last round. Solar's trying to take that engagement, just can't land the headshot onto him. But yeah, obviously, this is classic Lumina right now with this opening salvo of gunfights where they are willing to peek and contest and make sure that Voltage just struggle just trying to get into the map.
Yeah, and I think the testament to just how aggressive they want to be in this map is the fact that they are bringing that Duck. Of course, he's built to last, and unfortunately, he will not, as he will get shut down by Matt, but not before his damage has been done as well. And that's Solrus in a prone position, could get misdroned again. We saw him in a similar position on Clubhouse where he got misdroned, and it could be the same again. It was a Retero drone that totally could have killed him there, but no! He's just in there! And so is P1! He'll get shut down! Oh, so unfortunate. Solrus goes for the swing, gets another one. He's running with the pistol. Oh, and Mac will find him on the rotate. Zemper finds the Daka. It's all in the hands of Mac. The floor is 3 Retero drones, 3 flashbangs, and 20 HP to his Dame versus 2 of the remaining defenders. I do believe that's Maggie with the what's it called? The DMR as well. He does shut down Zemper, last map's MVP, and he could just be securing another round here. There goes the flashbang to pull him away from that position, but of course he does not have the diffuser at the moment. There goes the retrieval, and there goes the plant attempt.
He's committing to this. He's sticking it.
He's sticking it. He sticks it. There goes Maggie now, swinging into him with the pistol. Of course, the DMR is built for long range, but he's so low! It matters not, however! He finds the kill anyway. Mac keeps Voltage alive, if not for just another round. What a map that was, or what a round that was. Oh my goodness, I am sweating. Voltage is sweating. Everybody is on the edge of their seats. A bit of a mistake there. They really got punished. They misdroned Solrus again in a prone position on a hard floor. They could not be naded, but that could have easily been taken care of with a drone, with a Retero drone, with just a little bit of a pre-fire or a little bit more expectation about such a play. But nevertheless, Mac finds that round, claws it out of the hands of Lumina. And, well, they live to see another day, but how long is that going to last? because I don't think Lumina are going to let go of this aggression. Last time I said that they brought the Doc because he's built to last. He's
They've brought
built
Rook
to
Shotgun. They've brought
keep
Rook
those.
Shotgun.
Oh
Like,
Lord, I
if
didn't
they,
notice
yeah,
it's a
they
shotgun.
brought a Rook Shotgun. Okay, like this is how they plan on playing this next round. This is what we're going to have to see and talk about in this upcoming round, which could be the last. I that last round, I have to question the play by the warden to move. I'm guessing he was feeling a little uncomfortable and was trying to just like make movements there. But it was a good rotation. The Aruni was just like a little too late. You could see the Aruni rotate, trying to come up bottom point. Obviously now with Aruni's speed changes, she's a 3 armor, so that obviously took her a lot of time. So you can see how minor things like being a 3 armor can make or break a round now. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes out. No opening spawn peaks. So Luminar really trying to close this out with the opening peak onto Gunter, who has been the star player for Voltage, who has been the playmaker for Voltage, getting these opening picks, giving his room team to breathe. But that's not going to happen. No dice this time around. As Solris gets the opening pick, and Lumina look to lock this out in round 9. I think we're on round 9.
Yeah. That was definitely very unfortunate of them to lose not just Gunter, but of course his nades, and they flash out Ultra, but from a basically completely blind position, he goes for the swing, finds Matmac. Last round's hero, Solris with the C4, finds Joke. P1 is there to deny the flawless and to get a trade, but now it's all down to Dodaka and P1. P1 through the footholes that was made by the Maverick Torch, finds another one, brings it a little bit closer. They still have so much time, but of course the diffuser is lost on the opposite end of the map, and even 90 seconds still left to go could make that extremely challenging. These drones having a harder time of actually gaining any information due to those observation blockers. P1 still just holding angles. There's a player inside of Garage. He sees him. Please tell him. No, he doesn't see him. Oh, that was the most perfect opportunity for P1 to equalize the man count there, but it's a lot easier for us to see that with the outlines. To him, it probably just looked like a bit of debris. Maggie finds the Daka. It's all down to P1, who could have really brought this closer, but it's instead Zed with the Rook shotgun, which I laughed at because it's really an unusual loadout, but nevertheless, Lumina win it out. They win it out a 7-2 fashion. Last time around, it was a overtime clubhouse that really could have gone any way, but this time there was no such thing. Instead, it's all Lumina all over the paper, and well, there's not much the Voltage could do to that one. What a map that was, and well, they take 3 points from the map, 4 actually from the entire ordeal. And they definitely put themselves a little bit further up the standings in the season so far. 5? How did they get? Oh yeah, they got 5 because they got 2 from the previous round. Sorry, for some reason I thought they got 1 from the previous, but yeah, they got 5, which I do believe equalizes them with Volps now. Well, that really unfortunate there for Voltage to lose that.
This is interesting. I mean, we've only casted 2 games together, but it's always been fun where we kind of get one game which is like decisive. Like I think we had a 7-0 in our first game, and then the next game was OT, and this time obviously got flipped on its head. We got the OT game first, but then we went into a 7-2. Right. Yeah. So it's interesting to see that pattern kind of develop. If I have to give it MVP, this time I'm going to go for Ultra. I'm going to nominate him for MVP. I think he played really well. Obviously, he was the top frag. We didn't get to see too many defenses come up, but his play into the armory window repel, kind of like playing there, being a kind of a pain in the ass over there, definitely helped Lumina Gaming with that game. But yeah, that was a good game of Oregon to see. Obviously, it was a very different game, but still a pretty entertaining one. Lumina definitely had a better handle on Oregon from the drop, right? You saw Voltage just kind of completely drop the ball on their kids' bedroom defenses, just not being able to gain around there and just solely relying on the basement bunker site to give them a round. And of the two defenses that they played, they only just won the one. So yeah, you saw that 5-1. So definitely for Voltage, kind of go back to the drawing board, see where their Oregon is at. Again, I firmly think you should have a good Oregon. You shouldn't be losing Oregon 7-2, right? You can lose Oregon, don't get me wrong, but you don't want to be losing it in a 7-2 fashion.
Yeah, no, that definitely is very, very true. But I also think, Voltage definitely struggled there, but it also, Illumina won Clubhouse through aggression, and they read Voltage like a book. They read them. They knew exactly, okay, they do not like this aggression. That is where they falter. That is what they cannot counter. They tried to counter it a few times, and we saw that coming up from Voltage, where, they were like, okay, you want to play it aggressive? We'll play it aggressive back. And that's exactly what they did on Clubhouse. But I don't think that they were prepared for that amount of aggression coming out from Lumina, and it really hurt them. But another thing on that point is also, all the way back in Clubhouse, you mentioned it. We only saw two sites get played. We only saw gym and we only saw basement. And now again, we only saw dorms and we only saw the basement bomb site. I wonder what would have happened if Voltage had tried to go for a tertiary site of either meeting or dining. Now, it might not have worked, especially because those sites are so much easier to aggress into for Lumina, but it still could have, maybe caught Lumina by surprise. Maybe they could have gotten a couple of those rounds and maybe kept themselves in it a little bit longer. But, it's a woulda, coulda, shoulda. And, credit where credit is due. Lumina played their hearts out. They played very, very beautiful Siege throughout both maps. And they really took it home. I agree with you as far as Ultra goes to give him the MVP. Of course, he was one of our nominees in the previous map as well, alongside Zemper. We decided to give it to Zemper then just because of how much more crucial his rounds seem to have been. But, Ultra has been equally as important of a player to Lumina. Of course, he is a newcomer somewhat. Of course, we didn't see him last season and, throughout the first the half of this season, a lot of people were maybe questioning the choices that Lumina have made over the off season, maybe questioning, should that really have been the players that you picked after you did a lot of roster changes? And I think that now that Lumina have really had time to play together and to really understand each other, that synergy is really, really coming together nicely. And Lumina are starting to look like the Lumina that we saw last season as well. And I'm really excited to see where Lumina actually goes from here. I mean, there's still 2 more rounds to play out. There's round 6 and 7 still of this season. And Lumina could very well put themselves into those top slots and get themselves into the playoffs, knocking out some of the other teams that, at the start of the season, we were like, oh, they are clear favorites. There's no way we see playoffs without them. And instead, it could just be Lumina yet again contesting against some of the hungriest teams that we have in this season. So I am very excited to see the playoffs and how all of that comes out. But that will close out this map and this match out as well. It was an 8-6 win for Lumina and then a 7-2 win for them as well. A very, very fun matchup to watch and to cast. Thank you, Tardis, so much for joining me.
Thanks
again.
for having me.
That was a lot of fun. I really love having somebody with me here. I feel like the cast and the overall atmosphere of a game is so much better when there's, a duo. I've been solo for a lot of this season, so I'm definitely very thankful to have you around. Of course, reuniting of 2 duos. But in any case, thank you everybody for watching. Make sure to stay subscribe to this channel so that you know when we next go live. Make sure to follow our socials as well, as we post a lot of cool and nifty stuff about the season over there as well. In any case, I've been Retro. He has been Tardis. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a good night.
Guys.